Today, we are going to see what Judge M sentences Kouri Richins to. She is facing either 25 years to life or life without parole. The judge can choose either of those options. Today, we will have impact statements. Grab your Kleenex. My outstanding questions are before we get to court. 1, will Kouri have anything to say or not? 2, what's the sentencing going to be? The judge only has 2 options, but what's the sentencing going to be? 3, this is the big question for me. Let me know what you think. Is the defense going to put on anything? Is the defense going to put on any mitigation? I don't know. I guess we'll find out together because we are going to go to court.
Your Honor, my name is Gene Richins. I'm Eric's father. No parent should ever have to bury their child. It's a loss that changes you forever. Eric was taken from us way too soon. And his loss has left a permanent hole in our family that will never be filled, ever. Eric was first and foremost an incredible father. To his 3 boys, Carter, Ashton, and Wes, his sons were his world, and he was theirs also. They didn't just see him as a dad, they saw him as their best friend, their coach, their mentor, their protector. He was present in every part of their lives. Whether it was soccer, baseball, basketball, or any activity that they were involved in. Eric was there coaching, encouraging, and supporting not only his own boys, but every child on the team. Eric didn't just coach sports. He built confidence. He built character and friendships. He gave his time freely because he cared deeply about helping young people grow into strong, kind, and capable individuals. The impact Eric had on these children and families continues even now. On the soccer team that he coached, before every game, the players gathered and called out a cheer. For many teams, it might be something ordinary. But for Eric's team, even 4 years after his death, they still break the huddle with the words, 1, 2, 3, Eric. That simple cheer speaks volumes about a man he was and the lasting imprint that he left upon young lives in this community. He worked hard to provide a beautiful life for his family. He gave them a home many would consider a dream. He ensured their needs were met, supported them, cared for them, and treated his wife with love every day. Yet despite everything he gave, his life was taken from him, not by a stranger, but by a person he should have been able to trust the very most in his life. He was betrayed in the most imaginable way possible. His life was taken through calculated, intentional actions motivated by the greed, control, and desire for a different life with someone else. Eric will never see his boys graduate, get married, or become fathers themselves. He will never again stand on the sidelines cheering them on. He will never offer guidance, encouragement, or love in any way that only a father can. That opportunity was stolen from him and from all of us. Because of the calculated and intentional nature of this crime, I respectfully ask the court to impose a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. This sentence is important to Eric's 3 sons never have to live with the fear that the person responsible for taking their father could ever harm them again, and to ensure she can never harm anyone else ever again.
I'm Katie, and I'm Eric's sister. To begin, there are a multitude of people who deserve credit and appreciation. Law enforcement agencies across the state of Utah, the Summit County Prosecutor's Office, the Medical Examiner's Office, expert witnesses who worked hand in hand with law enforcement, Eric's friends, Eric's co-workers, my friends, and my family, our entire team of lawyers and experts in the civil lawsuit. There are far too many people to mention by name, and I suspect if I try to, I will inadvertently leave someone out. But to all of you, please know that this would not be possible without your efforts. Eric and I were extremely close. We went through school together and navigated life side by side. Wherever Eric went, I was usually tagging along right behind. In school, Eric's nickname was Richie, and mine was Little Richie, a reflection on how inseparable we were. He wasn't just my brother. He was my constant, my protector, and one of my closest friends. Eric was the kind of father who anticipated his children's needs before they ever had to ask. He made sure they were always having fun, taught them how to be respectful and kind, and was constantly planning for their future. His mind and heart was always on his boys, always. Everything he did was for them. Eric was the very best uncle. He made his nieces, my daughters, feel truly special. He always found ways to have fun with them. He doted on them with love and attention. Eric was an incredible son, always there for my parents, stepping in without hesitation and helping in every way he could, without being asked. The bond he shared with my mom was truly special. We would often joke that the umbilical cord had never really been cut, but in truth, it spoke to the deep, unbreakable love they had for each other. This is who Eric truly was, a man defined by love, integrity, and unwavering devotion to his family. He is none of the things that Kouri tried to portray him as. Those mischaracterizations were nothing more than a vile effort to deflect blame. And those mischaracterizations stand in stark contrast to the reality of the man we all knew and loved. Eric's life and his actions and the profound impact he had on those around him speak for themselves. And they tell a story of goodness, strength, and character that cannot be rewritten or diminished.
Katie, you're doing a great job.
The saddest part for me in all of this is that I got something with Eric that his sons never did. Time. I feel cheated that I only got to spend a few decades with my brother, but I should feel lucky in comparison. As Eric's eldest son told me shortly after his dad's death, he and his brothers did not even get 10 years with their dad. Kouri's selfishness and cruelty did not end with Eric's murder. In the time after Eric's death, Kouri has done nothing but isolate, manipulate, deceive, and do harm to those boys.
Oh, shit.
Almost immediately after Eric died, she cut them off completely from our family.
Oh, God.
From Eric's family. The isolation was calculated and strategic. Kouri used the boys as bargaining chips with my dad. She repeatedly threatened not to let him see his grandsons unless he could convince me, as Eric's trustee, of his trust, to capitulate to her legal demands and give her all the trust assets. While isolating...
We heard this in the bond hearing as well. Kouri clearly disagrees as she is dropping her jaw and saying, what?
The boys, Kouri provided them with false and harmful information about me and my family. When DCS... Miss
Lewis just grabbed Kouri's shoulder and said something to her. I hope what Miss Lewis said to her is, fix your face.
Took custody of the boys following Kouri's arrest and asked where they would like to go. They expressed fear of my family. The fear was not based on reality, but on what they had been told.
Holy shit!
For over a year, Kouri led them to believe that I hated them, that I was attempting to take Eric's money for myself, and that I intended for them to be left without support.
I believe
that
Katie.
They would be homeless and starving. These statements were entirely false.
I believe
and
Katie.
had no basis in reality. After Eric passed away, Kouri prevented all contact between our family and the boys. She prohibited communication and continued to provide them of false information about us. When we were finally able to see the boys again, approximately 15 months after Eric's
Holy
death,
shit.
the boys hardly recognized the relationship we had. Kouri also went to great lengths to jeopardize the boys' financial futures. And I know you are very aware of this. Among other things, she drained the personal bank accounts that Eric had set up for his boys as college funds.
What?
She allowed the boys' Social Security survivor benefits to be funneled to individuals who were not taking care of the boys. And she sued me in my role as Eric's trustee and
We knew
personal
that.
representative, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. The goal of her
we knew
lawsuit
that.
is singular. She wants all of Eric's assets for herself. Despite her lies and fanciful public portrayal, she knows that none of Eric's assets are going to me, my dad, or my sister. In fact, she knows exactly where Eric wanted everything to go, and that is to his boys. Honoring Eric's wishes has landed my sister and myself, and unbelievably, my 2 daughters in Kouri's crosshairs.
Yep.
One of Eric's sons recently told me that Kouri used to say, "I will get them one day." Apparently, she was talking about.
Oh, yeah, because she put it in the walk the dog letter. She's like, let's get those bitches. And she was just texting it because we saw it in the sentencing memo. But she's saying it to her kids?
Me, my sister, and my daughters. Her infamous walk the dog letter, the part the jury did not hear, confirms
We heard
her
it.
desire to harm me.
We heard it.
In it, she talks at length about her plans to get at Amy
And you.
me, including by targeting my daughters,
Kouri, you fucking wrote it. It's in
both
there.
of whom are under the age of 10.
We read it more
It
than
takes a
once.
sick mind to target children. The mere thought that
Kouri
someone
doesn't
who
give a
has
fuck.
so little regard for human life or decency might one day walk free is horrifying. Eric's sons deserve so much better. They are not bargaining chips. They are not
Yes.
cash cows.
Yes.
They are not props for some twisted children's book about grief and loss.
Yes.
And yet that is what they've been reduced to by Kouri.
Get it, Katie.
To my unending sadness and horror, Eric himself understood all too well the danger she posed to his children and to his family.
And that's why he changed his
When
trust.
Eric told me he had changed his estate planning and appointed me as his trustee and personal representative, I begged him to end the marriage and go his separate way. By that point, he had already consulted with a divorce attorney and was deeply afraid that he might not be awarded sole custody of his children.
That is a very, very, very well-founded fear. And I'm sure that's exactly what Eric's divorce attorney told him, is that if he was lucky, he might get 50-50 custody.
He made the heartbreaking decision to stay because he could not accept the risk of what might happen to his sons if Kouri had equal custody. He told me he would live his life through hell every single day of his life until his youngest
To protect
was
his
18,
kids.
because he believed Kouri was the most evil person he had ever met. He knew that his sons did not like her. He told me as much many times. He knew that they would prefer to be far away from her.
Kouri's face is facing up one side and down the other, and Katie has walked into this sentencing with full mention it all energy.
But he also knew that divorce carried significant risks. And he said he could never allow his children to spend half of their time alone with her, because he was certain they would be exposed to harm and things no child should ever experience. He made it clear that in his mind, if Kouri were given equal custody, his children would be in the care of someone he believed to be deeply dangerous. This is not a situation where the idea of rehabilitation should be entertained. In taking Eric's life for her own selfish gain, Kouri did not only harm Eric, she permanently harmed 3 kids who were under the age of 10. She took away a dad, a son, a brother, an uncle, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, and a friend. Eric's death has caused immeasurable pain to so many. Obviously, there's nothing the court can do about that. And you cannot bring him back. But what you can do is give Kouri's victims at least some measure of closure. To that end, I ask that the court impose a sentence that ensures Kouri never has the opportunity to harm Eric's children or our family again. Please do not let my brother's life be worth nothing more than a 25-year punishment. Please do not leave those boys to wonder whether Kouri might track them or their children down in the future. Please do not create a possibility for Kouri to endanger Eric's boys, my daughters, my family, or anyone else ever again. Please sentence Kouri to a life in prison without the possibility of parole.
She's like, LWAP, please and thank you.
My name is Kouri Richins. I'm Eric Richins' sister. Today, I'm here to speak as a victim and to speak for Eric because he no longer has a voice. I addressed this court in 2023 when we were living in a state of visceral shock. Now, 3 years later, we are here at sentencing on a date that carries a weight I can barely describe. Today's Eric's 44th birthday. Birthdays are supposed to be proof of life, a day to celebrate another year of growth. Instead, today is a cruel reminder of another year Eric will never see, and a reminder of the fatherhood that was stolen from his 3 sons. Eric was a real person, a deeply loved person, and the loss of him echoes through every life he touched. On my 16th birthday, I was sitting in my 10th grade English class when I got a text from Eric that said, "Come outside." I walked out and
Nothing makes me feel old than when people talk about texting in high school. But I get it.
there was Eric, standing with flowers and that mischievous grin we all knew. I asked what he was doing there, and he just said, "Let's go. We've got to get a little mud on your tires." I had just bought my first truck, a used Ford F-150. Eric took me up into the mountains,
They were
and we
mudding.
took that truck off-roading for the first time.
That's a great
It was
16th
exhilarating
birthday.
and terrifying. But I felt safe because he was there. That was Eric. He made life bigger. He made people feel brave. And he protected the people he loved. As if losing Eric was not painful enough, our family was then forced to grieve under public scrutiny. After the publication of the grief book, our family became the subject of public narratives, attacks, and speculation. At one point, I received a message sent from a burner phone that said, "You think you're funny? Kouri will get the last laugh.
Holy shit.
Your jealousy is as disgusting as your family." Law enforcement later confirmed through warrants that the message came from Kouri.
I'm not shocked by that.
That moment stayed with me
Well, Kouri
because it captured what these
Kouri seems to be shocked by that. That was a huge reaction from the defense table about the burner phone. However, the language in that text message that Amy just shared for the first time matches the walk the dog letter.
Kouri will get the last laugh. Your jealousy is as disgusting as your family. Law enforcement later confirmed through warrants that the message came from Kouri. That moment stayed with me because it captured what these years have felt like. Not just grief, but intimidation and distortion. Yes, our family hired a private investigator.
Todd Gabler's
But when
a
someone you
boss.
love dies suddenly and deep in your gut, you believe something is terribly wrong. You do not stop searching for answers. The real question is not why would you investigate? The real question is, what wouldn't you do? What wouldn't you do for your brother?
Again, if you hire an investigator and there's nothing to find, then there's nothing to find. But at least you've answered that question.
I also feel compelled to address the emotional toll of the trial itself. As the designated victim representative, and more importantly as Eric's sister, I have a right to be present in the courtroom. Yet during the proceedings, I was essentially kept in the dark. Due to the courtroom layout, I could not see the exhibits or the evidence. When we requested simple accommodation, We were told that the trial was being broadcast on court TV and I could excuse myself and watch from home with the rest of the world.
Oh, who said that?
Being told that my right to be here was interchangeable with a television broadcast was
Oh,
a profound violation. I did not want to watch Eric's life and death as content from my couch. I didn't want to go home after a grueling day and listen and watch it all over again.
Oh, 100% on that.
I had a right to be here, to face the evidence directly. Still, to this day, I have not been able to rewatch the trial because it's so time-consuming and painful to relive.
Yeah.
I still have not seen all the evidence that was presented. There is something that has haunted me for years. And I found out Katie was the exact same today. I begged Eric
the boys-
too.
If the boys heard anything.
I begged him to divorce her. But Eric was trying to protect his boys. People often struggle to
I'm going to take just a minute to mention what Amy just said is that she heard for the first time today that Katie also asked Eric to divorce her. I believe, Amy, that this is the first time she's heard that from Katie. But that's not a family that's conspiring against Kouri. If the two sisters aren't chatting about the fact that they're both having this conversation with their brother, they're keeping the conversation with their brother between them and their brother. Kouri has continued to try to paint this family as all ganging up against her. But it seemed that they were just having the conversations with their brother and keeping it between them. Not that they were conspiring to break up this marriage.
Your Honor, a parole-eligible sentence is not a conclusion. It is a reoccurring nightmare. It guarantees that every few years, Eric's sons will be notified that their father's murderer is seeking freedom. It forces them to relive the trauma repeatedly for decades. Eric died trying to be his children's shield. He can no longer protect them, so now the responsibility falls to this court. I ask you to provide these boys with the finality and safety they deserve. I ask you to ensure that the noise of Kouri Richins never enters their lives again. For the years of suffering we've endured, for the children who will grow up without their father, and for the life she stole from Eric and the peace she stole from us, I respectfully ask that you sentence Kouri Richins to life without the possibility of parole. Happy birthday, Rico.
After a developmentally appropriate process, the boys were able to decide individually how they wanted to share their statements, and this is what they chose.
I
Our
appreciate
roles are to read their words exactly as they wrote.
how they clarified that.
The boys want the court and the world to hear their side. This
That's
is from
incredibly brave.
WR. I woke up to sirens, and there were a lot of people at my house, and I was definitely scared. I felt confused. I was in a bedroom with my brothers, and I didn't know what was happening. At first, I was really scared because I didn't know what was happening, and I had no control, and I felt helpless. I felt really overwhelmed. After my dad died, Kouri would put us in the basement while she was with the neighbor.
What?
I felt scared because I thought something really bad was happening again. Everything she did made me feel uncomfortable. When someone talks about Kouri, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. She took away my dad. It's made me have a hard time trusting people. I was scared that Kouri's family would come to my school and take me. I feel a lot better about myself now than I did with Kouri. I can't ever see my dad again. I want her to go to prison forever. If she got out, I would be so scared, really mad, and I wouldn't want to go with her anywhere. I'm worried that she would take me away from Katie and Clint.
Right.
Once she is gone, I will feel happy, and I will feel safer and relaxed, and trust people more.
I am Christina Green. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, not registered play therapist, and I will be reading for
AR.
You took away my dad for no reason other than greed, and you only cared about yourself and your stupid boyfriends. You were not caring and watching over me and my brothers. I had to be a parent to W.
Oh,
C and I would walk him to the bus stop, feed him, and watch him. You were not concerned about our health. When we got hurt, you didn't even care. When C got run over by a side-by-side, you still made him go to the soccer game that day without taking him to the doctors first. You would lock C in his room and I would have to go to the kitchen and bring him food. You shamed us when we didn't want to eat uncooked lasagna you made. We threw it away because we couldn't eat it. Then you made us watch videos of children starving in war areas.
What?
You wanted to scare us into eating something that wasn't cooked. You wouldn't let our dog outside, and then the dog would pee inside. You created this problem, then you would smack my dog on the head as hard as you could. You wouldn't let me put my kitten in the garage for safety at night.
What?
And we found it eaten by raccoons the next day.
What?
You wouldn't let us turn on and use the heater lamp for the chickens and bunnies, and they froze to death. You would always argue with my dad and lock the door. You were not playing the role as a real mother does. You were doing the opposite. Now my dad can't be my coach anymore, can't be at any of my games. He won't be at my birthdays. He can't teach me how to drive. He won't be at my graduation, and he can't take me camping or fishing.
Oh my God.
He made me paranoid about sleeping on my dad's side of the bed by saying I might die or get harmed. And I was just trying to be close to my dad after.
Kouri. Also, her face is just like, what?
You took away everything from me and my brothers. I don't want you out of jail because I will not feel safe if you are out.
Wow.
You have never said sorry for anything that you have done to me and my brothers. I don't want you to hurt anyone again. I know that you will need to stay in jail to fully take accountability for what you did to me, C, W, and my dad. With you in jail, I will be able to continue to feel safe and live a happy and successful life without fear of you hurting me or anyone I love.
Holy shit.
My name is Sarah. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and registered play therapist, and I'm going to read the victim impact statement for CR. My name and age now, my name and age I was at the time of the crime. CR, age 12, now 13. I was 9 when my dad was murdered. What I would like to see happen if the perpetrator is convicted of the crime, I would like to see Kouri get a life sentence. My thoughts regarding an appropriate sentence for the person who is accused of this crime and if they are found guilty. I think Kouri should get a life sentence because what she did is very sick, because it had no reason to happen and it impacted a bunch of people, including me. These are some reasons why I think she should have a life sentence. The information I feel is important for the judge to be aware of in sentencing. I think the judge should know that my dad was a good person and very thoughtful and kind and helped whoever needed help. He was always taking the extra mile to help people. My physical injuries as a result of this crime are as follows. I was sleeping and then I went to get a drink of water, then went back to bed. And when I woke up shaking and Bailey called the ambulance and they came and I couldn't talk for a while, I think Kouri had something to do with it because she didn't call the ambulance. She called Bailey and Bailey called the ambulance. At the ER,
Wow.
Kouri resisted to have my blood drawn. And kids who usually have this kind of seizure is when they are a few months old to a year old. I learned later that Kouri bought more fentanyl and had it in the house when this happened. I think this is what happened. She did what she did to my dad in the living room. My experienced emotional injury because of this crime is described as follows. Sad. I feel mad that I have to feel sad. I went from being scared for my life to feeling really good. I was scared for my life because I didn't eat that much. Kouri was always drunk or gone. I was always locked in my room. I can't remember, but I am pretty sure the lock was on the outside. Kouri threatened.
Yesterday in the sentencing memo, we saw a note about the findings of physical and emotional abuse, and we didn't talk about it much. We don't have much more information on that. This has provided a lot more information on that.
I started to feel really good when I moved into a safe place. It was safe because the people around me were safe, Katie and Flint. I felt safe at Jake and Shalina because I wasn't with Kouri anymore. Counseling. I feel annoyed that I have to go to counseling and tell the story
Fair.
about what happened 55 million times.
Fair.
I feel better now because I know it's to help me. I would like to not have to go to counseling. I would like to have to not worry about anything after this trial is over.
Right.
I want the judge to know. I hope Kouri gets convicted to a life sentence. Kouri is always drunk. I want the judge to know my dad was a good person and I miss my dad. I miss my dad, but I do not miss how my life used to be. I don't miss Kouri. I
Heartbreaking.
will tell you that.
Kouri's mother, Lisa Darden, is here in the courtroom.
Oh, okay. Well,
She's
she's
actually, I feel, given me the privilege to read her words. She was concerned about her ability to read the question. Kouri is my daughter. I write to you today carrying a grief that words struggle to hold. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the loss of Eric. He was my son-in-law, my friend, and a truly wonderful father. Eric had a kind heart and a generous spirit. He was deeply loved, and he will never be forgotten by me or by the many people whose lives he touched. Eric once saved my life, and I have carried that gratitude with me every day since. His legacy lives on most clearly through the 3 beautiful boys he left behind.
I have a lot of questions about Eric once saved my life. We're going to need to circle back to that at some point, but continuing.
Kouri is more than the worst day of her life. She is a mother who has devoted herself to her children since the day they were born. Before all of this, she was deeply involved in their schooling, their sports, their faith, and their community. She coached teams, volunteered weekly at school, led youth programs, and taught her boys compassion through service, from food banks to flood relief to helping firefighters and families in need. Her life centered on her family and on helping others. In 2023, following her husband's death, Kouri published a children's book designed to help grieving children process loss. She donated hundreds of copies to children who had lost a parent and visited schools to read to students dealing with grief. Although the book achieved some commercial success, her intention was not profit. It was to help children feel less alone during one of the most difficult experiences
Ma'am, did you miss the day that we heard all the emails about the books, though?
a child can face. Kouri has always viewed her greatest accomplishment as her family, her husband, her children, and the home they built together. Her loyalty to her family is unwavering. As an aunt, she has been a consistent and loving presence in her nieces' and nephews' lives, providing child care support, attending milestones and school events, and assisting her siblings whenever they needed her. She has been the person who organizes family gatherings, holidays, and shared tradition, keeping the family connected. Faith has also played an important role in Kouri's life. She and her children regularly attended church and participated in faith-based community activities, reinforcing values of service, compassion, and responsibility.
Ma'am?
Your Honor, these are not isolated gestures. They reflect a long-standing pattern of generosity, responsibility, and care for others. As a mother, Kouri experiences deep anguish over her inability to comfort her children as she once did. She worries constantly about their emotional well-being and struggles with the pain of knowing they are hurting while being unable to fully support them. Her concern for her sons remains constant and unwavering. Kouri has endured profound emotional and personal suffering since the loss of her husband. She is grieving the absence of the man she loved and built a life with, while navigating separation from her children and family under intense public
This is
scrutiny.
wild.
The weight of these losses is immense, and it has affected not only Kouri, but her entire family, her mother, her children, and those who love her.
Are we done?
Despite being incarcerated, Kouri has continued to demonstrate resilience and personal responsibility. Within the confines of jail,
now
she has
there's
dedicated
Kleenexes.
herself to education and self-improvement, using her time to study and work toward meaningful goals. These efforts reflect her character and her desire to grow, contribute, and remain a constructive presence, even under extremely difficult circumstances. Your Honor, I stand before you as Kouri's mother. I love my daughter. I have known her for her entire life, not just through this case.
Huh? I love my daughter. I have known her for her entire life.
I cannot speak to every aspect of what the court has considered, but I can speak to who she is as a human being, as a mother, and as a member of her family. I do not believe that Kouri did this, nor do I believe Kouri could possibly be capable of this crime. I can't validate what she did financially one way or another, and that's something Kouri will have to live with. A sentence without the opportunity for parole would permanently separate her from her children and leave no room for redemption.
I think that's the goal.
Kouri's life has meaning, especially to her 3 sons and her family, and I respectfully ask that the sentence reflect not only accountability, but also the potential for rehabilitation and the profound long-term impact on innocent children.
Well, if she didn't do it, why is
Your
accountability
Honor,
needed?
I ask from a mother's heart that Kouri be given a sentence that allows the possibility of a future, one in which she can continue to grow and one day be a positive presence in life and her children's lives again. I firmly believe the jury reached an incorrect conclusion and that this outcome represents a profound injustice driven by personal bias. I do
What?
not believe Kouri is capable of committing murder. No one understands her loves her children as deeply as their mother does. Thank you for listening, Your Honor. I love you, Kouri, Carter, Ashton, and Weston. Her story does not end with this sentence. It is the strength of her comeback that will define her.
The strength of her comeback? Ma'am! Also, that's tipping the hand that Kouri probably wrote this because that's echoing things that we saw in the sentencing memo. This is Kouri's brother.
Sister, I love you.
The court did say at the beginning that all letters were to be addressed to him, and he started with, "Can I please address this to Kouri?"
I miss your constantly over-the-top positive attitude every time you speak. I miss our game nights. I miss our stupid finger gun dance after we won a game. I miss our holidays. I miss you sending the boys to wake me up on Christmas morning, way too early after we've stayed up way too late preparing Christmas for them so that it'd be absolute perfect. I miss our Sundays together. I miss arguing with the boys about who's better, Messi or Ronaldo, Brady or Rogers. I miss our backyard games. I miss me and the boys running all over you at sports in the backyard and Eric getting mad because you weren't competitive enough and you were really just out there to have fun and laugh. I miss you constantly luring me into your newest ideas and getting me excited about them. I miss vacationing. I miss family volleyball. I miss playing Madden and FIFA with Eric and the boys. I miss your stupid goats. I miss the soccer games and the celebrations we created for the boys after they scored a goal. I miss Carter's smile and his obsession with goat videos. Ashton's freckles and his competitiveness. And Weston's baby blues and tenderheartedness. I miss hearing them say Wonney and playing catch in your living room. I miss your family.
Did she just look to see if the judge was looking at her?
We don't with 100% certainty know what happened, Eric. No one does, but we do know with 100% certainty that it wasn't caused by you. We know that. The police know it, the prosecution knows it, and everyone watching this trial knows it.
That's not true.
They could not prove their theory, just the opposite, and yet here we are. For some reason, unbeknownst to us, really bad things happen to really good people, Cor, and you were just really too good of a person, I guess.
I feel for her brother. I do. I feel for her brother because for him, trying to wrap his head around what his sister has done might be something he is not able to do.
We'll get through this together, and the injustice that's occurred here in this courtroom, it'll be righted in time. Your innocence will shine too brightly to be contained once you've actually had a fair shot at defending yourself. When the day comes, I just know somehow that you're going to change a lot of lives that really need your help. And until then, little sister, just know.
Was he taking shots at the defense attorneys? Because it sounded like it to me.
Just know that I'm right by your side. I'll always be right here for you. I love you.
Your Honor, I want to maybe begin by speaking just plainly and honestly. I disagree with the jury's verdict. I'm deeply saddened by the way that justice was rendered in this case. I don't believe that this outcome fully reflects the truth or the humanity involved.
Wow.
But our Constitution demands something difficult of all of us, especially of officers of the court. It demands restraint. It demands respect for the process, even when the outcome wounds us. And so, while I disagree with the verdict, I respect the jury's decision. And while I disagree with many of this court's rulings, I respect the lawful authority of this court, of Your Honor.
What rulings were there to disagree with?
Late Pope Francis said that life without parole is just a death penalty in disguise because it extinguishes something fundamental to human dignity, and that is hope. Hope to all involved, victims, condemned alike. Refusing to impose a sentence of life without parole today doesn't mean Kouri is going to walk free. It doesn't mean that she will someday leave custody.
It means that the victims will forever live in fear,
natural life in prison.
wondering what if.
It also does not mean that her victims who have spoken today, her kids, doesn't mean that they have to forgive her. They may never change their minds. They may never forgive their mother. And also, no court has the authority to demand that they do. But refusing to impose a sentence of life without parole does mean that we do not close the door completely. It means we do not presume to know with absolute certainty what a human life, victim or condemned, may become decades from now. It means that we do not extinguish hope entirely. A life without parole sentence freezes every human being, victim and condemned, inside the worst moment of their life and declares that moment permanent. Our Constitution demands more restraint than that, because a real measure of justice is not what we do when mercy is easy. It is whether we preserve humanity when mercy is hardest. No sentence handed down today will undo suffering. A different verdict wouldn't have reversed tragedy. But there is a profound moral difference between saying you must be punished and saying you are beyond redemption forever. One is justice restrained by humility. The other risks becoming judgment without end. And no human institution possesses the moral certainty to make that judgment absolutely. That lies with God alone. Thank you.
In their sentencing memo, the state cited to State versus Holland, which was a death penalty case. The state quoted the court as follows: "The psychological reality is that aggravating circumstances in first-degree murder cases will virtually always outweigh mitigating circumstances. However, what the state left out is what the court said next, which was that the Eighth Amendment doesn't allow the death penalty in every case, and courts must take a long, hard look at the totality of the circumstances, the values of society, and the value of all human life. And though this is not a death penalty case, the same would apply to a sentence of life without the possibility."
I appreciate that Lewis is focused on the law and the standards the court is to apply.
Currently, there are approximately only 72 people in Utah serving this sentence. These include people such as Edward Deli, the co-defendant of Vaughn Taylor, who is currently on death row. They killed 2 women, kidnapped 2 young girls, and attempted to kill those girls' father by lighting their cabin on fire. I believe that was in Summit County. It includes Daniel Ray Troyer, a serial killer and rapist of women in their 80s. He was convicted of killing 2 women, admitted to a 3rd, and likely killed a 4th that authorities are aware of. It includes Matthew John Breck, who kidnapped a 10-year-old girl, stabbed her multiple times, severed her spinal cord, and left her dead on her front porch. It includes numerous individuals who brutally murdered children, some who murdered police officers. There are only a handful of people serving life without the possibility of parole for killing a spouse. And in all but one of these that I could find, they killed more than just their spouse. They are individuals who killed their spouse and a child, or killed their spouse and someone else in the process. The only one I'm aware of who killed a spouse and no other individual is Craig Crawford, who set fire to the home of his estranged husband, leaving him to die in the fire. And then there are individuals serving sentences of 15 to life who committed arguably more heinous acts than what Kouri Richins has been convicted of.
Well, if they were more heinous,
Eric Sampson abused his wife.
If they were more heinous, then why weren't they charged as aggravated murders? Because if they're 15 to life, they're first-degree murders, not aggravated murders.
For 28 years, ultimately killing her in their St. George home, leaving her dead in their bed. He continues to maintain his innocence, and he's serving 15 to life.
So
John
no
Weston
aggravators.
Erickson stabbed his wife to death in front of their 2 young children, also injuring his 7-year-old daughter, who attempted to wrestle the knife out of his hand, serving 15 to life. Joseph Castillo, his wife, stabbed his wife to death in their garage while his teenage son tried to stop the attack. These men are all serving 15 to life sentences. There are many more examples. Murder is the worst of all crimes, but to say that this particular case is the worst of the worst is simply not true. The state argues that she shows no remorse. Kouri has remorse and she has regrets about many things, and you're going to hear some of those when she speaks. However, she cannot show remorse over something she did not do. She maintains her innocence and has every right to do so. Having said that, however, she stands before this court today convicted of the crimes charged, and she fully understands them. So sentence her on what she was convicted of, not what the prosecution says about her character. As much as they think they know her, they do not. They do not know Kouri Richins. Like Alex said, we're saddened by this case. We are saddened by the verdict. I respect the court system so much. I come from a family of judges and attorneys and was raised
Ma'am.
with the utmost respect for our justice.
Ma'am, where are we going?
I disagree with the verdict.
Get back on track. What? We were sticking to the law and the facts. We were sticking to your zealous advocacy. We have now jumped the track. I
have to say,
this is
though,
wild to me.
in all the years of practicing, which are now quite a few, this is the first time I've had a client convicted that I believe to be innocent. It was much more painful than I anticipated. We asked this court to impose a sentence of 25 years to life. When you put aside all of the media, all of the injuries, and you look at the crime she is convicted of, this is an appropriate
The
sentence.
court's not swayed by the
Sentence
media.
of 25 to life is not a sentence that guarantees the release of Kouri Richins. It is not saying that she even should be released. What it is saying is that the decision whether she should be released is a decision for someone else to make on another day. A day that will be, at a minimum, 25 to 30 years in the future. A future that could look very different than today.
Leonard, it's time for a monthly reminder that your data is exposed everywhere. And thank you to today's sponsor, Incogni, for helping me keep my and my family's information off of the internet and away from data brokers and others. And we've also seen information from the FBI that foreign adversaries have found a way to hack into foreign-made internet routers. You know the one your phone company gives you? They can be hacked into remotely, and then everything you are doing on the internet from your home is exposed. And yes, there are some steps we can take to protect ourselves online. Yes, that would be a ton of work, but that's what Incogni's for, because their process is fully automated. And if you ever run into any roadblocks that the fully automated process doesn't work for, you can use their custom removal tool. And once you take back control of your data, it reduces the people who have access to you. It protects you online and off, and reduces those scams that can use your information against you or your family members. And if for any reason you're not happy with Incogni, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it for yourself and you can cancel anytime. Leonard, I know you're ready to check it out and take back control of your personal data with Incogni. Just go to incogni.com/Emily and use code Emily to get 60% off annual plans. And Leonard, I know you will rely on Incogni as much as I do. Now let's get back to today's case brief.
My sweet baby boys. I know that today you don't want to speak to me, have a relationship with me. You may think you hate me, and that's okay. I will never be angry at you for your feelings. When the day comes that you're ready, I will be here for you, waiting for you, and loving you. But I need you boys to know and understand that I have been desperately trying to get in contact with you any way that I can for years. That all of my communication has been completely cut off from you since early 2024. And now I will use any opportunity I can to get a message to you. Even if that means sharing it publicly to the world, fully restrained, in my jail clothes, in one of the most horrible situations possible. I don't care, and I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by any of it. All I care about is you boys. I will do whatever it takes for you to hear the truth from me and to come home to you. For the time being, I don't know when that is or when my next opportunity will be. So for now, bear with me as I have tried to consolidate everything I've wanted to share with you for the last few years.
So not a statement to the
with
court,
everything I want you to know,
a statement to her
until I'm
kids.
able to speak to you again.
Not a statement on
And
why
one
her
long
sentencing should be
message.
different, but a statement to her
Although
kids
you
instead.
may not be ready to hear it today.
Okay.
That's okay. My hope is one day you will be. May 6th of 2024, temporary custody was transferred from the state of Utah Child Services to your Aunt Katie and Uncle Clint. My last video call with you boys was several weeks prior to that, around April 24th, 2024, when you were still in the state's custody. Once temporary custody was transferred to Katie and Clint, against my wishes, they cut off all of my communication between you boys and I. It was years before I would ever have a trial. I warned social services that if they gave custody of you to the Richins family, it would be the last time I would be able to see or speak to you boys again. And your opinion of me in this case and wild allegations would soon mirror those of the Richins family. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
There's always going to be someone out there ready to tear you down, misrepresent you, lie about you, tell half-truths, and judge you. They will judge you on decisions you do or don't make, what you
And
did
she's
or
talking about
didn't
her
do,
again.
what you did or didn't say.
Right. She's talking about herself.
They will take out of context and twist your words. They will judge you on your emotions or the way you grieve. You may show too much emotion. You may not show enough. They will tell you you're not grieving correctly. You're too angry. You're too sad. You're holding it together too well or not well enough. Or maybe you're too ambitious. They will judge you on your demeanor. If you cry, if you...
Right. That's a callback to Bloodworth's statement at closing, isn't it? Too ambitious? Right, because she's talking about her.
don't cry, if you don't do anything at all. And all of this will get misinterpreted into something that it's not, formed by the opinions of who's ever creating it. And then silence is also too often misinterpreted and misjudged. But when people behave that way, it has much more to do with them personally than it does you. Apologize when you're wrong, even if that apology is long overdue. You can't change what you can't change, and you can't change the past. But you can take accountability when you mess up.
Really?
Admit when you make a mistake, even when it's embarrassing or humiliating, even when it can ruin relationships, careers, or your integrity. Be honest with yourself and those you need to. But never apologize for something you didn't do. Be like your dad.
Ma'am,
Be generous.
I don't disagree. But ma'am,
Be charitable. Stay humble. Give when you have too much. Give more than you take. Help when others are in need. Serve your community. Be like your dad. But still to this day, I can't believe this is real sometimes. That this is our life. That this is my life. Convicted of taking one of the people out of my life who filled it the most. My husband, the father of my children, still in shock and still in disbelief. Accused and now convicted of such a heinous crime,
so you agree. It is heinous.
potentially costing me to never see you boys again. Who just lost both of their parents
And there's no textbook answer
So you're going to write one?
on how or what we're supposed to do. How I'm supposed to react or move forward. And I'm so sorry.
Ma'am, generally you don't need a textbook on what this feels like because you feel it.
You boys are what matter. Your safety, your health, mentally, emotionally, all of that should be being prioritized.
So you're dropping your lawsuits?
I will and have always prioritized your safety.
So you're dropping your
I am
lawsuits?
your mother, and that is my job. And for anyone to scare you otherwise is just cruel and heartless. I'm sorry that 8 people from a jury who have never met you or me
Oh
or
dear.
our family
Don't do that.
had the right to determine our future. And they did that in less than 3 hours. You haven't had to just endure losing one parent, but losing 2. And no child should ever have to go through that. Especially when one was an unforeseen tragedy, and the other based on injustice and a system we're supposed to trust.
Oh boy.
I'm broken. I'm broken without your dad. I'm broken without you boys. God did not put me in this world to take a life. God put me in this world to give life. Your lives. And I don't know who or what I'm supposed to be if it's not a mother. Your mother. And as much as you've been influenced into thinking that Dad was murdered,
Oh, boy.
when I took your dad from you, that is completely wrong and an absolute lie.
Oh boy.
And the thought of that is still as absurd today as it was 4 years ago. And I will not be blamed for something I did not do. I will appeal
Well, you're
and
not
fight these
blamed, you're
charges,
convicted.
no matter how long it takes. Not because I have anything to prove to this court, to the state,
Oh,
to the Richins family,
back to only God can judge me.
or to the world. But I do have something to prove to you 3. I do care what you boys think, and I need you boys to know the truth. And because of that, I will never quit or give up on this fight for justice, the truth, and coming home to you. Remember who you are. Remember who we are. Remember our family. I will continue to call you every day, even if my calls are blocked. Just so you know that I'm here. I've always been here. I will always be here. My cards, my letters.
You don't have control of
I will
that.
never stop. I will never stop.
I believe
I
that
love you
part.
forever, Mom.
Having considered the gravity and circumstances of the offenses for which Ms. Richins has been convicted, the number of victims, and available information regarding the history, character, and rehabilitative needs of the defendant, the court hereby orders that the sentences on counts 2 through 5 shall run consecutively to each other and to the sentence imposed on count 1.
Oh boy.
Moreover, the court exercises its discretion and chooses to impose no fines related to any sentence in this case.
Interesting.
The court addresses the 5 counts on which Ms. Richins was convicted in reverse order.
Your Honor,
Ms. Richins
reverse order? However, consecutive is the beginning of the hammer being laid down, I
is based
suspect.
on your conviction on count 5, third-degree felony forgery. The court hereby sentences you to an indeterminate prison term not to exceed 5 years.
I think that's the max.
Based on your conviction on count 4, second-degree felony insurance fraud, the court hereby sentences you to an indeterminate prison term of not less than 1 and not more than 15 years.
Yeah, that's the max.
Based on your conviction on count 3, second-degree felony insurance fraud, the court hereby sentences you to an indeterminate prison term of not less than 1 and not more than 15
Yeah,
years.
and that's the max.
Based on your conviction on count 2, first-degree felony attempted aggravated
This is the
murder.
attempt.
The court hereby sentences you to an indeterminate prison term of not less than 5 years, and that may be for life.
That's
Which
the
brings us
only
to the
available
final
option on that.
The appropriate sentence for count.
Yes, attempted aggravated murder is a 5 to life
Under
crime.
Utah Code 76-3-207.7, there are only 2 options. An indeterminate prison term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life, or life in prison without parole. And the law requires that the court consider each option. Under a sentence of 25 to life, and considering the effect of the 4 consecutive sentences, the time that Ms. Richins has spent in custody, and the current practices of the Board of Pardons and Parole, Ms. Richins would likely serve approximately 30 years in the Utah State Prison before receiving her first parole hearing. By that time, she would be 66 years old. Under a sentence of life in prison without parole, Ms. Richins would be in prison for the rest of her natural life, unless the Board of Pardons and Parole determines by clear and convincing evidence at some future point that she is permanently incapable of being a threat to the safety of society.
So there is an
At which
option.
time the board would have the authority to release her. Under either scenario, Ms. Richins will be incapacitated, meaning structurally prevented from harming anyone outside the Utah State prison system for at least the next 3 decades, and perhaps much longer. But the potential impact on the survivors of the tragedy created by
And
Kouri
there's
Richins,
the other side of it.
most importantly, Eric Richins' 3 sons, is more difficult to predict. On one hand, if the court sentences Ms. Richins to life without parole, one or more of those young men may come to resent that the court eliminated any opportunity they might have in the future, decades into the future, to express an opinion as adults with substantial life experience
Interesting.
about whether their mother should, for example, be allowed to die with dignity. On the other hand, if the court sentences Ms. Richins to 25 to life, one or more of those young men may spend the next 30 years questioning why the court failed to protect them from the prospect of the person who murdered their father being released from prison at some time in the distant future, perhaps when they have families and children of their own. The court's contemplation of how those young men may come to feel about today's decision some 30 years from now comes from a place of genuine concern for them and humility regarding the court's inability to predict the future. Sitting here today, it is simply not possible for anyone, not even those young men, to know how their view of this case may evolve over the next several decades.
Huh.
My hope is that every person affected by Eric Richins' death will, over time, find their way to a state of peace.
He might
As
go
for
25 to
today,
life.
the court's duty is to make a decision, a weighty, long-lasting decision based on the best information available today. And the bottom line is this. Kouri Richins was convicted unanimously and beyond a reasonable doubt of attempting to murder Eric Richins, her husband, and the father of their 3 children. And then, having failed in her first effort,
And
of
that's the
spending the
LWOP,
next
or it should
17
be.
days, not changing course, but doubling down, preparing to try again, and ultimately completing the act through the administration of poison.
And that should be an LWOP.
And for what? Money. All for pecuniary gain. A person convicted of committing that sequence of acts in that way and for that reason, and who causes the absolute tragedy that has befallen Eric Richins' sons and family, A person convicted of those things is simply too dangerous
Yeah.
to ever
That should be the LWOP.
free. Accordingly, Ms. Richins, based on your conviction on count 1, first-degree felony aggravated murder, the court hereby sentences you to life without parole.
And that's the LWOP.
You have the right to an appeal. You must file a notice of appeal within 30 days. You have the right to be represented by counsel on appeal.
Today does not bring my brother back. It does not restore the years his children lost with their father, the milestones he should have been here for, or the life our family believed he still had ahead of him. But today does matter. Today, the court recognized that what happened to Eric Richins was not an accident, not unexplained, and not something our family imagined. His life was taken intentionally and permanently, and the consequences of that choice are now being acknowledged in this courtroom. And for that, Judge Mrazek, we thank you. Eric was more than the headlines that followed his death. He was my brother, a son, a father, a friend, and a person deeply loved by so many people. The public has heard about the investigation, the evidence, and the trial. I remember the man himself, his laugh, his presence, his loyalty to the people he cared about, and the place he held in our family that can never truly be filled. No sentence can undo the trauma this has caused. It has affected every part of our lives. It changed holidays, birthdays, relationships, and the sense of safety and trust we once had in the world around us. For more than 4 years, my family has endured unimaginable grief while also facing misinformation and intense public and media scrutiny. Today, the noise stops. The verdict and this sentence speak louder than any misinformation ever could. Most importantly, I want Eric's sons, my nephews, to know this. Your father mattered. He was completely loved, as are you. And no verdict, sentence, or passage of time will erase that. As a family, we will continue moving forward as best we can, carrying Eric with us, honoring his memory, and choosing to live in a way that honors the life he deserved to keep living. Today, we invite everyone to remember Eric and his generous spirit by performing a kind act for a stranger. The world lost a wonderful man, and it will take all of us to embody his kindness. Thank you.
Your response to her speaking directly to the boys in her statement.
I thought it was interesting. I've never been through any of these. This is my first time, so I didn't really know what to expect. I just think some of the lies are intense, that they're still lying. And I don't understand why, but I just wish more than anything, because she was talking about how, right, they should be honest, they should do all of that. I wish she would kind of look in and follow some of that on her own.
To hear Kouri defend her innocence with such conviction, what does that say about her remorse and her opportunity to give the boys some hope?
That's a
I don't
question.
think she had any remorse, in my opinion, but
remorse is not what we saw there.
But yeah, I think she lives in her own little world. So
Kind way to say it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Where are we now? Well, the judge sentenced Kouri ultimately to life without the possibility of parole. Why do I say it that way? Because that's generally the way that it is written in the California statutes where I practiced. So it's hard for me to say life without parole without adding the possibility. Also, that I think is the final OPP of this particular case, though, as we know, this case is far from done. And today is a perfect reminder of that with the South Carolina Supreme Court ruling in the Murdaugh case, is that even when the trial is done, cases are not entirely done. Now, this case is not the same as that case. Those two things are not the same at all. The rulings were not the same. What has happened in this case is not the same. That is a very different case. But we know that even once a verdict and sentence is in, especially with a life without parole verdict, it is going to be an automatic appeal. And we are going to start the long process of appeals. including the fact that Kouri's attorneys have said that they will be making a motion for new trial. They are asking for an expert for that motion for new trial. They have a hearing on that next week, which I'm curious to see what expert they want on their motion for new trial. I'm interested to see what that is. They are going to make that motion. Those will then normally be argued in court. We will cover it when they are argued in court. So even though the sentencing is done, we are very much not done with this case, because motion for new trial, appeals, and then the financial case, which I believe has a hearing date at the beginning of, I'm just looking at my notes, at the beginning of June. So June 5th, there will be a hearing on the financial crimes case. The court set a date for the restitution. So there will be more hearings in this case that we will be covering together. But what are those other sentences? We covered this a bit yesterday in the sentencing memorandum. The court went in reverse order, and the court essentially sentenced Kouri to about all he can sentence Kouri to, which is an indeterminate sentence. Utah's sentencing is quirky. I think quirky is the right word for it. But on the other cases, it was a minimum to maximum range consecutive, which means she needs to serve life without parole first and then serve her following sentences, which are 5 years to life on the attempted murder. The fact that the floor on an attempted aggravated murder is 5 years in Utah is kind of wild to me, but that is a 5-year to life crime. Then it is 1 year to 15 years on the other two insurance fraud counts. And then the forgery count was 1 to 5 years. And so we saw the court stack those consecutive, which is largely symbolic in this case, because with life without the possibility of parole, then the other sentences don't happen. Though you never know what laws are going to do. You never know what legislatures will do. You never know how laws may change. And so 20 years from now, 30 years from now, if the laws change and the LWOP gets un-LWOPed and she becomes eligible, then it can go to the 5 years, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. So even though it is symbolic, it's also protective of what may come next. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.